Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Asia's Agri-Food Startup Showcase. I'm Andrew McCarthy, Business Development Manager at Brinc, and I'll be your MC for today. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for joining us here today. To kick us off, we have Angeline Yeo, Senior Development Partner from Enterprise Singapore, and Manav Gupta, Founder and CEO of Brinc, will be sharing a few opening words to introduce our event.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Angeline, Senior Development Partner at Enterprise Singapore. I'm very excited to be here with all of you today as part of the launch of the Asia's Agri-Food Startup Showcase, co-organized with our partner Brinc. Enterprise Singapore is a government agency championing enterprise development. Together with our partners, we help to shape and grow Singapore's innovation ecosystem. As the food industry evolves to meet changing consumer preferences and growing awareness in health and sustainability, there is tremendous opportunity in the agri-food tech space. Over the last 3 years, we have seen promising startups developing modern technologies to increase food supply through sustainable production methods and to improve food quality from farm to fork. With a vision to position Singapore as the leading food and nutrition hub in Asia, Enterprise Singapore launched the Food Innovate Initiative in 2018 to transform and grow Singapore's food industry through innovation. A year later, Enterprise Singapore's investment arm, Seeds Capital, appointed 7 co-investment partners to catalyze over 90 million Singapore dollars worth of investments into early-stage agri-food tech startups in Singapore. Since then, we have seen tremendous growth in the Singapore agri-food ecosystem, with global accelerators like Big Idea Ventures and Grow setting up here. We have also seen agri-food tech companies looking to further their R&D, test bed, or launch their product in Singapore, using it as a launchpad into the larger Asian market. Building on this early success, we continue to develop a vibrant agri-food tech ecosystem here, where startups can be supported in their growth journey to develop impactful technology with the help of our ecosystem partners. We can't do this alone, and we invite you to join us in accelerating the growth of our agri-food tech startups. With that in mind, Enterprise Singapore has collaborated with Brinc to organize a series of startup showcase in order to connect Asia's agri-food startups with the region's leading investors. And today, we are happy to bring you 7 alternative protein startups and their food solutions of tomorrow. I hope that this is the start of a continuous exchange within the ecosystem to spur more collaboration opportunities. I would also like to thank Brinc for their strong partnership in organizing this event, and we look forward to working with you to strengthen the ecosystem further. Thank you all very much and hope you will enjoy the event later on.
Thanks, Angeline, and we're equally excited to kick off our growing partnership with Enterprise Singapore. I hope this is one of many exciting things that we will do together. It's good to see you all virtually. My name is Manav Gupta, the founder and CEO of Brinc. Brinc is one of the leading global venture accelerators. We truly believe that if we can support the right deep tech companies with the right resources and support, as well as capital, we can fundamentally change how we move, what we eat, where we live, and how we feel for the better. We have a portfolio today of over 200 companies with founders from over 35 countries. So usually I'll kick these off with a rant on why animal agriculture is bad and why we need to do something about this rapidly. But I won't subject you to that today. You're more than welcome to Google or YouTube those videos at a later date. Today I'll tell you more about why I'm bullish on an animal-free agricultural system in just 6 simple points. Number 1, we're seeing more companies today with expanded fidelity to meat and dairy than ever before. And this is because of new processing techniques, new ingredients, which are all leading to expanded taste and texture profiles by startups all around the world. Number 2, we're seeing more rounds fill from our portfolio teams than ever before. Just in the last quarter, we had 4 multi-million-dollar rounds. And we're seeing the exact same thing happen right now with existing or new portfolio teams, as more interest is showing up and there's more capital than ever before with oversubscribed rounds. There's more IPOs in this space, and we just do not think the amount of capital that's flowing into this space will slow down. Number 3, media, consumers, and the governments are embracing this at record speed. We're seeing plant-based foods allowed, regulated, lab-grown food even in Singapore, and more interest and more stakeholders getting involved than ever before. And this wasn't the case just 2 years ago. Number 4, more corporates are getting involved. They're setting up manufacturing line, launching their own products, investing in funds, and I think have made it clear that this is a future that they're excited about and that they can also make money in. And they're here to say that this is here to stay. Number 5, we're seeing more startups apply to our programs than ever before. Our application funnels are blowing up. Not only that, we're seeing more localized products with localized palettes focused on local business conditions, local cultural profiles, and local price points. Number 6, and I think most important, just from 2 days ago, the IPCC released a report that said climate change is undeniable and it is unreversible. And I think as we look at that on a broader sense, we've all made it very clear, and I think everyone here understands, one of the most important things we can do is transform our agricultural systems, move to flexitarian diets, and build better alternates. And so individuals like yourselves can help us push to create and reduce the effects of climate change. I think in a nutshell, we need a moment of mourning, reflection, and recommitment to doing everything we can this decade. All in all, I'd like to say that we have all the right ingredients for us to cook up the best dish, and there's no better time to be involved in this space. Not only is this an unstoppable movement, but you can also make real money in the process. I think in the next few decades, heck, and even the next few years, we may end animal agriculture. So now is the time, because there's absolutely no stopping this. Plant and lab-grown alternates and lab-grown foods are here to stay and change the way we eat forever. To that regard, we launched Asia's first food tech accelerator based in Hong Kong in partnership with Artesian 3 years ago. We've backed incredible founders and teams from around the world and brought them to Asia. Teams like Umami Meats, Herbalian Bio, Future Foods, and Sophie's Bionutrients. Furthering on that foundation, we also recognized there was a lot of domestic innovation happening in China, and we partnered with Lever VC to launch an alternate protein program in Shanghai a year and a half ago. We've supported great teams like How Food and CellX. And today we're one of the most active investors in the agri-food space with a portfolio of over 45 companies, with startups that are doing their best to help us all build a more sustainable and resilient food system. Our goal over the next few years is to get to 1,000 climate conscious investments. So we're excited about this partnership with Enterprise Singapore as we kick off one of hopefully many Asia agri-food startup showcases and give these teams an opportunity to showcase all the great work they've been up to, connect with corporates, connect with investors, and build a platform for the industry to ultimately do more work together. So thank you all for attending, and all the best to all the startups that are showcasing today. Thank you.
Now, let's get our main agenda underway. We'll be starting the event with a panel discussion on investor trends in alternative protein within Asia. Speaking in the panel, we have Nick Cooney, founder and managing partner of Lever VC, and John Cheng, director of Innovate 360, and Natalie Leung, food technology program manager at Brinc, who will be moderating the session.
Thanks both again for being here. To start with, could you please tell me a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and why you have chosen to work with or invest in all protein companies?
Sure, nice to meet all of you. So my name is Nick Cooney, a managing partner with Lever VC. We're a Hong Kong-based but globally investing fund focused 100% on alternative protein, plant-based, cell-cultivated, fermented, and so on. And for me, the reason, the time I got interested in the sector was actually over 20 years ago. Began eating these products myself because of believing in the value that they have for society. Been working in this space for much of the time since then, working in this space about 16, 17 years. And certainly for me, what keeps me interested and passionate about the space are those impacts, those great beneficial impacts that alternative protein can have. And so it's been really great to see how quickly the sector is growing now and how many great new products, how much great new technology is coming out that really is going to shape a significant part of the food system in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, a pioneer in this space, and it must be so exciting for you to see how it's blown up over the past few years. And John, could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Hi guys, so I'm John from Innovate 360 in Singapore. So we are a food incubator that helps startups scale go-to-market. We have facilities which enable startups to do so. We have our shared kitchens, labs, as well as manufacturing spaces where the startups can actually, scale. And of course, it's tied to our traditional business that actually enables them to get into sales channels and distribution at the same time. So for us, we started in 2018, and a few of our very first few startups were in the alternative protein space. We are traditionally in the food manufacturing business, and we see a very huge potential in the alternative protein space. Personally, I think it's the future for eating, and I think it's been around for the longest time right now in terms of some of the plant-based proteins as well. And I think this is the time that people are starting to think about health, and they are looking at alternative choices in their current diets. So I think that's why we invested in a few of the alternative protein startups, so that we can help them grow and help them impact the world. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, John, actually, on that note, then, I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about the most interesting and impactful companies you've come across in the alt protein space, and what do you think differentiates them from their competitors, and why did you choose to work with them?
Since 2018, we have about 40 different startups. So we do. So one of our first few startups was actually Umami Meats. And we, I met them in 2018, and it was still starting out. For us, it was like a little bit of surprise back then, because we're new in the space, and talking about cell-based meats was something very new for us, and that has changed so dramatically in the last couple of years. The level of acceptance, recently they did a number of surveys as well, and the acceptance rate has been going up. People are more willing to try alternative proteins, and that opened quite a big interest and market around it. And then of course you have players like Just, and I think for us, there's a sweet spot in terms of these kind of companies. I think mainly because of the what they offer to the traditional kind of businesses, something more sustainable, as well as something that is also healthier in fact.
No, and I think it's great also to see, you mentioned the receptive consumer. It's great to see Singapore being such a hub, especially in Asia, for that, and where cities like Singapore and Hong Kong, you really see people being a lot more adventurous and open, and actually know what it is, which is a marked contrast to what it was, a few years ago. And Nick, what about you? I mean, you must see thousands of companies a year. Could you please share a little bit more about the most exciting and impactful companies you've come across, and a little bit more about what differentiates them from their competitors?
Sure. And, so like I mentioned, we invest across the alternative protein spectrum. So we're doing kind of fairly straightforward, you could call them plant-based meat and dairy brands in various countries around the world in various subcategories, as well as companies on that higher tech side. Companies producing real animal protein from things like cell cultivation, fermentation, even in plants. So I would say that there's financially and from a return perspective, I think there's opportunities in a lot of different categories here. I would say, using a slightly higher criteria in terms of what's particularly interesting, or I think particularly exciting, what we think is, perhaps I'll give two examples. There's a few, but two. So one would be the spread of this category and the growth of this category in different in different markets around the world where this is a more emerging category. So we've invested in companies in this category in Singapore, in mainland China, in Russia, in Brazil, and we're quite excited to be able to invest in and partner with companies that we think could be the Beyond Meat or Impossible Foods or Oatly of that particular country. So I think the spread of this category and the growth of this category in these markets where there's a lot of consumer interest, there's in some cases government support, the right environment is there. Really what's needed is just good startups, good founders, good quality products, executing well. And so we're excited when we can find those, because we think they'll really help grow the category in those regions and could dominate it. On the higher tech side, I think really interested in and excited by some of the technologies coming out that have the ability to get to the market sooner. So for example, ingredient inputs. So whether that ingredient input is coming from cell cultivation, fermentation, again, being grown in plants, real animal protein ingredients produced in one of these ways that can go into other products. For example, could go into plant-based meat at a very small inclusion rate and add a lot of flavor, texture, functionality, things along those lines. I think having had some of those products myself, products that are mostly plant-based, but with, say, a little bit of real animal muscle tissue or fat or so on mixed in, and just how much that makes the taste dramatically better and the texture better as well. I think as these ingredients start to come on the market, they're going to really fuel the expansion of the category because taste is still the primary barrier.
No, and it's interesting you say there, when you look at these categories, I think what's also so exciting will be solutions that focus on a part of the supply chain and really enable these solutions to scale at a faster pace and a larger scale, because you see so many companies which have, especially these deep tech companies, which have proven their technology at a benchtop scale or a lab scale. But really now I think it's a point where it's really interesting to look at the infrastructure of bioreactors, of people who are focusing on medium, of people who are focusing on cell line optimization, of the hybrid fats and that kind of thing, where it's on the second phase of this industry, which will be really exciting. Which leads me to the next question, is looking forward, what do you believe are the biggest opportunities and white spaces that people have yet to tackle? And as an investor, what are you hoping to see out of this category in the next, say 10 years?
I think the white spaces, I think, Nick, you mentioned a point about taste. I think we have to see that taste is the one that wins over the hearts of the consumers at the end of the day, because you could produce something that is, alternative protein, but it doesn't taste good. You might be able to sell the first kg, but not the rest of it. So taste, improvement in taste is something that we potentially see. You were mentioning also about how you get the bit of the real meat taste together with the plant-based meats. That could be something that could be happening in the next couple of really iterations, and we could really see it really coming out of that space. But also, I think in terms of infrastructure, there needs to be a lot more investment into that, and that could be an opportunity as well in that space. Creating infrastructure for cell-based companies so that they can scale. Because I think one of the main challenges for example, for cell-based would really be the infrastructure. And for plant-based, I think there's also opportunity in basically consolidating the manufacturers that produce this kind of plant-based protein. Yeah.
No. And it's interesting to say, you guys were originally from the food manufacturing background. I think there's also such opportunity to leverage off the infrastructure of existing big companies rather than try and build the entire thing from scratch, where the opportunity there is more around collaboration.
Yeah, and then the next thing is going to scaling and going to market. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah. So on the question of white space categories, it's because there's a lot of headlines about alternative protein and there's so much coverage of some of the leading companies in the space. It's easy to think that there's not a lot more additional opportunity, that what's there is there. But when you think about the size of the conventional meat sector and seafood sector and so on, it's just such a massive category, and alternative protein is sub 1% of the category right now. So we're going to see huge growth there, and that means a huge amount of opportunity. And certainly some of that is just growth in some of the more established categories, but there's these huge categories within the food sector, within the animal protein sector, where plant-based is virtually non-existent. So seafood would be an example. Of course, massive global category, and there's very, very little plant-based seafood out there. And there's a lot of reasons to think that good plant-based seafood companies should do quite well. When we look at a number of countries in Asia, a lot of the product categories that are quite popular among consumers in Asia, there's no plant-based or other sort of alternative protein variation of those companies. So I think having a product lines, whether it's from the flavor, texture, product type perspective, that appeal to some of these more regional or national cuisines, there's a huge amount of opportunity there. And even by channel. So, most of the sales in the category globally are in retail, followed by food service. The convenience channel is a huge channel globally with basically no penetration of these products for the most part, at least on the plant-based meat side. So those would just be a few examples. Certainly there's a lot more than those. I think there is a lot of white space opportunities out there for new players and new companies.
No, and it definitely what you mentioned around, I think, convenience and localization, I think are key. And especially when you see, I think it's fair to say in Asia, probably a lot of the reason for people to switching for products like this is less on the macro sustainability side, more on the micro sort of health taste, whether or not they see something that they actually want to eat. So those going to be crucial barriers, I think, that at least mass adoption, not for the people who are motivated for other reasons. So yeah. And last, I think related to Asia, tying this back into the region, as you know, you both have lots of operations in Singapore and Hong Kong and China. It is, despite recent growth in the alt protein industry in the last few years, this space is actually still nascent, especially within this part of the world, compared to some others. So what do you think we could be doing more of collectively to help grow this space? And how can players, especially from Asia, play a more active role in the growth of this category globally? Perhaps, Nick, you'd like to start this one?
Sure. So my thought for Asia, which would also be my thought for a number of other regions, is that the biggest need or the biggest determining factor of how quickly the sector will grow is the number of very, very good entrepreneurs that launch companies in the category and that really have a focus on quality, whether it's on the plant-based side and it's just creating a really, really delicious product, or it's on the high technology side and they're focused on not just impressing investors or getting media attention, but actually building a technology that works, right? Mm-hmm. That the more there is that, the more of those that there are, the quicker the sector is going to grow. Because again, all the right macro elements are there, the right environmental tailwinds and so forth are there. So I think that's going to be the biggest determining factor. And so what can be done to make that happen? I think the more there are efforts to encourage entrepreneurship in this sector from those types of folks, and put them in a position, I wouldn't say hand-holding, but put them in a position where they are able to take a risk and launch a company, this sort of company. I think the more that can be done should lead to more such good companies.
No, and I think this is reflective of Lever Food's great work in China with, plugging in a little bit earlier in venture building, which is such necessary ecosystem work. Similar, I think, to incubators as well done. So anything you'd care to add to that?
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree with Nick. Like trying to build that startups, good quality startups is very important. What I think, for me, I think personally, I think it's really about also building the ecosystem around it, because we can't do everything ourselves and the startups can't do it themselves too. So it's building this collaborative ecosystem within Asia, where partners work with each other rather than as competitors. Like how we've worked with Brinc as well to bring the Good Food Startup Manual to Singapore as well. I mean, together with the Good Food Institute as well as Brinc. So we launched it with Feed 9 Billion, another group that is trying to bring together different players in the ecosystem and to help these startups and companies to think about sustainability and innovation. So I think one of the things, especially in this nascent industry, is really about ecosystem. So if players come together and work together, then there's a better future for all of us, especially in the alternative protein space.
I think that's also the great thing about this space is that most people are impact and mission aligned. So they're very open to this type of collaboration. Of course, while in friendly competition pushing the entire industry forward, but most people are generally quite receptive, which makes me happy to go to work every day. So, yeah. Well, thank you both very much for your time and for sharing your insights. Just one last note. Wanted to ask if the audience wanted to get in touch with you for areas of collaboration, potential entrepreneurs, whoever they are, how can they reach you? Nick?
So my email is nick@levervc.com. So feel free to reach out to me there. Also Nick Cooney on LinkedIn and Nick Cooney on WeChat. So look forward to being in touch.
And John?
Yeah, you can contact me at john@innovate360.sg. Or reach out to Brinc and they'll connect us anyway.
Yes.
I'm on LinkedIn too.
Thank you. And I'm Natalie. I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning, but I manage Brinc's Food Technology Accelerator programs, supporting entrepreneurs who are hoping to grow businesses in this category. So if you are interested to get in touch, I am Natalie Lung, Lung, at Brinc.io. Thank you both so much again, and thank you to everybody who's listening today.
Thank you, Nick and John, for sharing your valuable insights. Now, let's begin our startup showcase. Today's startup showcase will be focused on alternative protein startups. We have 7 startups presenting their innovative technologies. Presenting today, we have Umami Meats from Hong Kong, Brahmi Foods from India, Accelerator from Singapore, Clear Meat from India, Fiberworks from the United States, Awesome Food from Singapore, and Umami Meats also from Singapore. I hope you enjoy their pitches.
Hi everyone, this is Carrie, founder and CEO of Avon. Have you ever wondered, we no longer catch animals from the wild for the supply of pork, chicken, and beef, but we continue to do this with the oceans. Above half of the fish human consumes are still from the wild. If we continue to do this, around 2050, we will have no more fish to catch. Immediately, there are also concerns of the oceans has been the free dumping ground since Industrial Revolution. It comes with a lot of freebies such as microplastic, heavy metals, and other pollutants. Aquaculture operations are increasingly affected by climate change. Therefore, at Avon, we offer the solution to produce many portions of fish with the cells from just one fish. We empower our consumers by letting them know exactly what they're buying and what they're eating. We take the cells from one fish, develop that into cell line, and grow them in a nutrient-rich, fully controlled and clean environment. In about 2 months' time, we yield the product. Avon has the end-to-end technology platform starting from cell line from scratch, medium and scaffold formulation, and bioprocess development. We know cost is a major factor for commercialization, and we take a multi-pronged cost reduction approach as captured in our IP portfolio of patent-pending cost reduction solutions. We already achieved serum-free status as of last year, cutting the cost by about 90%. We contribute to the planet by giving the oceans a break, skipping the animal, fish, in this case altogether, feeding nutrient directly to the cells. We empower our business partners to let them be more in control of operation cycle, production output, operation costs, and working capital. Cultivated meat is projected to become a major segment of the meat market. Avon was started in 2018 by Dr. Mauro Chin and myself. In 2019, we launched the world's first cultivated fish maw, and last year, the world's first cultivated fish fillet. We're very grateful to be awarded the Technology Pioneer by the World Economic Forum in June this year. We now have operations in both Singapore and Hong Kong, with the pilot plant in Singapore in implementation to be operational towards the end of 2022. From there onwards, we will scale up globally using partnership and technology licensing. We have multiple products in the pipelines, including fish maw for the Asian market, fish fillet for the international market, and active ingredient for skincare applications. We have conducted multiple tasting with different chefs and different taster groups. We are very grateful to be covered by multiple social media and press. We look forward to having a chat with you to explore opportunity for investment and product development. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kushal Aradhya. So we aim to create the next food revolution by creating protein-rich Indian delights under the brand name Eat Like. So the problem in India is more than 73% of the population are deficient in protein and they're completely unaware. So that means more than 1 billion people in India are deficient in protein. The government and other organizations constantly push to eat more protein in the diet. But Indian diet majorly consists of carbs and fats. So, and even the commercially available options are very limited. So this is where we want to make a change by creating more and more products which are protein rich and are suitable for Indian cuisine and friendly for vegetarians. So this is the current market scenario, where in which the market size of chicken is more than $20 billion, and egg, another source of protein, which is like $6.6 billion. And for vegetarian, the one of the mostly commonly available protein source for a vegetarian, paneer, it's like a cottage cheese, very specific to India. It's more than $9 billion. And soy chunks, a product out of soy, it's roughly $300 million. So here is our solution that we want to bring in. So our products are rich in protein and are very suitable to Indian cuisine and very low in carbs. And it cooks just like paneer that people are already used to. Here is a quick video demoing our product. So this is how our solution are different. So we are using jackfruit and mung bean as a base ingredient, which are abundantly available in India. And we are also using peanuts and algae for its micronutritional boost. So as you can see in the right, all of the images are our own prototypes. So this will be a business model that we'll enter B2B or Oreca as well as direct to consumer. So we plan to launch 4 new products by the end of next year, 2022, and to be present in at least 2 markets. And products are competitively priced. So this is the timeline. So we started pretty much last year when the pandemic started in Q2 of 2020. We started with the formulation, and in Q4 last year we completed our early prototypes. So we are currently running pilot run, and also we are doing testing. We have got a place in one of the largest and leading food association in India, and we have been incubated there. So we have access to the lab facility and also the pilot manufacturing facility there. It's called CFTRI, which is in Mysore in India. So we plan to launch by Q4 of this year, 2021. So here is a competitor analysis. So there are many competitors in India who are doing plant-based meat alternatives. So majorly, and most of them are using soy as their base ingredient. And here is how we differ. So we are taking an approach of minimal processing, and we are using jackfruit and mung bean as our base ingredient. So here is our team. I'm the founder and CEO. So before starting this, so I have started 2 more companies, who both of which in food space, FMCG, and Dr. Chetana, she comes with more than 30 years of experience, and she's working with us. And we have Anushri and Sabha. And all 4 of us, we are working full time. And at the same time, we have also gathered great advisors and mentors. Plus, we have also received support from Brinc, ProVeg, GFI India, and Humane Society International. So these are our prototypes. So we plan to launch our products in like 3 formats. One is like nugget, and another one which can go with like a chicken curry, like the Indian curry, plus which goes very well with the biryani. So this is what we are raising, $300,000 US, and most of which will go in team building and product development. plus marketing both online and offline. Yeah, thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Vignesh and I'm the founder of Salivate Technologies. Today I'm excited to share with you what we do at Salivate and the vision we have for the cellular meat industry. Meat is one of the largest sources of protein in most diets and it's extremely tasty. However, it is now common knowledge that the meat industry has adverse effects to the environment and about 3 billion animals are killed every day for food. Cultured meat or lab-grown meat is the only known method to get real meat without the grazing or the slaughtering of animal. In a short time from now, getting meat like this won't need a slaughterhouse and it would be eco-friendly. In general, in a simplified way, these are the stages for producing cultured meat. Tissue is taken from the animal, the cells of interest are extracted and grown. When we have enough cells to have a starting culture, the cell growth is further scaled up within a bioreactor and then packaged as meat. As I mentioned, this is a very simplified overview. In reality, each step is much more complex. But even from this simplified approach, there are many gaps that we need to fill. For example, there is difficulty in growing many critical cells. When we want to scale up to large numbers, there is a need for good edible scaffolds and microcarriers. And when we process meat into 3D structures, there is difficulty in scaling up. Salivate Technologies has developed products and technologies to overcome these fundamental hurdles. These technologies include a platform for accelerating cell growth, novel microcarriers made from plant and vegetable extracts, and a bioreactor innovation that allows the self-assembly of 3D meat in a scalable way. We call the products from these technologies ProCyte. Pro as in promoting, site as in cells, and they contribute and enhance the different stages of the value chain. For example, in terms of enhancing the growth of cells, we see significant enhancement in cell growth when grown on salivate surfaces as opposed to commercially available flasks and plates. And you can see in this video our prototype 3D self-assembly of meat in action. While cellular agriculture is a disruption of the meat industry, the vision of Salivate is much bigger than that. It is a known fact that personalized foods are always preferred. For example, coffee, right? Less sugar, more sugar, soy milk, more milk, less milk, and so on. So in the same way, now that we are no longer limited by the animal, Salivate wants to enable the production of personalized meats. For example, more fat, less fat, higher protein, perhaps add fiber. Now this is possible since we are no longer limited to the animal. We are looking to raise our seed round at the moment, and we are looking to raise $1.5 million. We have an extraordinary team already, but we now need to expand our team. We have also started generating early revenue. We now want to scale up the production of our ProCyte so as to reach a larger customer base and thus increase our revenue. We are very grateful to these organizations who have helped Salivate to get where we are now, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Siddharth Manvati, co-founder at ClearMeat, India's first and only lab-grown meat company which is developing ethical and environment-friendly solutions for the food industry. Reports show that 80% of humans prefer meat, and with the increase in population, there has been a huge surge in the demand for meat products. This has resulted in the creation of factory farms. These huge factory farms not only use antibiotics but have resulted in massive problems, including the misuse of land resources, emission of greenhouse waste and gases, and the misuse of water footprint. There is an enormous environmental imbalance, and it is high time that we find sustainable solutions. Currently, there are two possible ways to resolve this. The number one way is to go plant based, where the beginning material is soya or pea plant, which are mixed with certain edible oils and industrialized to create meat lookalikes, or the lab grown way, where a biopsy is taken from the animal and grown in a nutrient rich environment to give out 100% meat. Now, being 100% meat, this would always remain the preference of meat eaters. The key ingredient in a lab grown meat is the nutrient media, or scientifically known as fetal bovine serum. This fetal bovine serum is responsible for 60% of the production cost and is obtained by killing calves. The killing of calves does not sit in line with the vision that this industry is trying to achieve. That's why we have created and patented our first product, ClearX9, which is the replacement for fetal bovine serum and is 60% cheaper and is made up of natural resources. We have done the initial proof of concept on chicken muscle cells and human liver cells to validate the performance of ClearX9. More cell types are in the process of validation. And importantly, using this ClearX9, we have also created EcoMeat, our version of the lab-grown meat. This is not only cheaper, but antibiotic-free and slaughter-free. With EcoMeat, we have performed the initial proof of concept to create minced chicken, or also called as chicken keema, using our unique clump forming strategy. The target audience for ClearX9 is initially 10% of the Indian market, which is approximately $2.1 million. And for EcoMeat, we plan to target initially 1% of the Asian poultry demand, which is approximately $450 million. And we are happy to say that we have already received interest from many companies here in India, which include Licious, Inner Chef, and Nandu's, and have been well covered through various global media platforms. The in-house patented technology that we have created at ClearMeat is not only sustainable but also affordable and scalable as compared to our other competitors out there in the market. We plan to launch our supplement for fetal bovine serum, or ClearX9, at the price point of $30 per liter in a business with all model. This would be done not only for the food industry but also for the universities, pharmaceutical labs, and institutes. For EcoMeat, we plan to launch it at the price point of $10 per kg in a business to business model in association with FMCG players. We have already achieved the required proof of concept and the laboratory proof of concept for both of our products, and plan to launch the supplement for fetal bovine serum, that is ClearX9, by the end of 2022, and the lab grown meat, that is EcoMeat, by the end of 2024. And none of this would have been possible without the perfect team. There's myself and Dr. Pavandar, and we both in total have more than 40 years of research experience in the field of molecular biology and synthetic biology. We have also have the skill sets ranging from finance to research. Currently, we have been seed supported through Mistletoe and Brinc and are raising pre-Series A $1.2 million. This would help us create an independent R&D facility and industrialize ClearX9 and achieve a market revenue of approximately $1 million in the coming months. Come and join us on our mission to revolutionize the meat industry. I would like to invite you to a follow-up conversation, and I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Hello, My name is Chen Fen Lu, the founder and CEO of Fiberworks Foods. You probably have heard of growing chicken or beef without the animal in a bioreactor. But can you imagine growing chicken or beef without the animal cells and at a cost that everyone can afford? At Fiberworks, we're developing animal-free, precision fermentation-based meat for food companies. According to recent consumer surveys, the number one reason that holds back consumers on purchasing meat alternatives is because they still don't taste, look, and cook like meat. Fiberworks solved this problem by replacing existing hydrocolloid additives with precision fermentation-based real animal proteins to provide a product that's better tasting, better nutrition, and affordable. There are three key elements of the meat that are critical to its taste: the blood that gives it a meaty flavor and the color, the fat that gives it the mouthfeel and the taste, and the protein that gives it the main texture and nutrition and taste. The flow diagram here shows how our process works. DNA encoding muscle protein is synthesized in a lab and put in the genome of edible microbes. The meat proteins will grow in a fermentation, and these meat proteins will be harvested and cross-linked with plant-based proteins to improve their texture and taste. We're the world's first company to develop recombinant muscle protein-based meat alternatives. Recently, we have developed a proprietary downstream process that's simple and robust. Finally, yeast and bacteria grow fast, and the medium are cheaper than their mammalian counterparts. Recently, we have also some major breakthroughs in the lab. Our first batch of cooked protein was a huge success. The color changes from translucent to white color, just like meat would. It cooked like meat, the protein shrinks and cores, and the texture is really good. And the whole process of making this piece of meat only takes 3 days. We are a team of seasoned innovators and entrepreneurs. Our advisors have a combined 50 years of experience in the muscle protein biochemistry. Thank you for your attention. Now, who's ready to advance this industry with us?
Good afternoon, I'm Jason Fong from Awesome Food, world's first nutritional focused plant-based functional food. We aim to be the forefront of whole food plant-based innovation and providing a nutritional focused food that are both ethical and sustainable for both our planet and our health. We believe that empowering the plant-based food evolution with optimal nutrition is the future. We want to harness the combined powers of superfood ingredient without messing with their natural benefits, and to create food that is for maximum nutritional optimal absorption. As you can see, this is the ladder of chart of wellness chart that we see. It's a matter of time that as we move along, the market will grow towards personalized nutrition, with of course starting from plant-based to whole food plant-based, clean label, nutritional food, functional and therapeutic. So Awesome Food stands on the clean label and nutritional aspect of things. In today's market, existing market plant-based, where everyone is really focusing on mimicking a food and texture, every couple of days we see that a new plant-based alternative coming up. Well, generally they are heavily processed with chemical additive, preservative, synthetic, reloaded with synthetic and vitamins and minerals. So they are also generally high in sodium and sugar. So current market, I think they have been focusing a lot more on the Western plant-based product. Their angle has always been sustainable to planet Earth and of course animal. Awesome Food take a different approach with us having a nutritional focus in mind. We do the same in terms of texture and taste, but focusing on nutrition. We looked at the clean and contamination-free angle. So to begin with, all our products are clean label. So we generally do not have additive, preservatives, and any sort of chemical that could do harm or threat to our health. So we are also low in sodium, and we do not add any sugar. In terms of sodium, we are standing approximately 10 to 15% of existing alternate plant-based alternative. Our products are also pretty universal style plant-based. We focus on protection of triangle to three areas: our animals, our planet Earth, and most important, our health. In creating our product, of course, we always have in mind for elder care and also for patients. So we make sure our food are friendly to both of them. So Awesome Food, as mentioned, okay, free of nonsense, free of anything that could possibly be a threat. We just want to have a wholesome, natural, real food. We believe real food in the real way. What is our core strength? Our innovation science focus on food pairing without adding any preservative additive, of course, focusing on three specific areas: solubility, digestibility, and most important, bioavailability of our product. We try to align the ingredient in a certain function to improve our health. So the IP that we stand is really on encapsulating our nutrition throughout the whole entire process. So Collagen Egg, as you can see, this is our collagen egg that we have created. There's a huge demand, currently standing at 1.2 trillion consumption every day. We want to disrupt the market with our collagen egg. So from a nutritional standpoint, every single nutritional perspective, we have beat a traditional egg. Apart from that, we have no contamination, so naturally we don't have hormones or cholesterol to begin with. Our egg have 11 key ingredients. Every single ingredient are selected for skin, nails, and your hair. So as you can see, this is a couple of our products that we have created. So our collagen egg and our collagen egg mayo are already been producing for restaurants, hotels, and cafes. So we also have clean label product like fish ball and fish cake. Again, we focus on the ingredient that are functional. So in the company, we adopt 100% zero wastage. So whatever we use, it has always been recycled. Our carrot fibers, our carrot then blend with nut to make into healthy crackers. So our leftover wakame are made dehydrated into a snack. So we are also a Singapore social enterprise focusing on three specific areas. Of course, protecting our planet Earth, but more importantly, currently our central kitchen that's producing our product are manufactured by our inmates in the prison, which is the Yellow Ribbon Project. Our new manufacturing plant that's going to happen will be focusing on working with SG and Naval friendly friends. They are individually challenged and also disabled. We believe that our product makes a very good positive impact on people's health, but more importantly, it will make much more meaningful if it's done by individually who are challenged. So I would like to part by saying, let food be medicine and medicine be food. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mihir Prashad, and today I'm going to tell you a bit more about Umami Meats and how we're enabling real sustainable seafood without sacrifice. We envision a future where we can consume healthy and sustainable seafood without having to sacrifice animals, our oceans, or our planet. And we want to develop delicious, sustainable, affordable, and healthy seafood that's cell cultured based on our novel low-cost growth serum and marine cell lines. The reason we're focused on seafood is that we believe the seafood supply is going to stagnate without alternative production methods within the next 20 to 30 years, driven by a few factors on the demand and the supply side. Protein demand is expected to grow by about 70% between now and 2050, and seafood demand is expected to grow by even more than that, particularly here in Asia Pacific, given the growing middle class. Further, we're already outstripping many of the capacities of our wild fisheries for many of the species that we consume, And climate change is increasing the threat to those wild fisheries. Our solution is to use cell culture technology to produce seafood in bioreactors. We start with our proprietary and patented growth serum and immortalized cell lines that we're developing. We add basal cell culture media, which is the nutrients the cells need to grow. And then we put them in large stainless steel bioreactors and proliferate the cells, basically scaling up the biomass that we can make. And we harvest that biomass and we use a proprietary structuring technology to actually make the end seafood product. There's a broad range of consumer applications for this end cultured seafood, from the very high-end sushi and surimi to full fish fillets and fish steaks, to more hybrid products like plant and cell-based seafoods, and even for pet food. But the key challenge today is that the cost of the cell culture media and the production is about 1,000-fold too expensive. And the key driver is the growth serum, which makes up about 81% of the total cost of cell cultured meat production today. This is largely because we use fetal bovine serum, which is a blood-derived serum from fetal cows and is a byproduct of the dairy industry where pregnant dairy cows are sent to the slaughterhouse at end of life while still pregnant. Obviously, there are ethical and price issues with this product. We've developed an alternative we call Umami Meats supplement. It's a plant-derived growth serum that can replace fetal bovine serum for the culture of both fish cells and others, and can be used, produced in lab today at $10 per liter, and at commercial scale for less than $1 per liter. This forms the core basis of our platform for reducing the cost for cell-based manufacturing. We use the growth serum as the base platform and the cell lines as our application layer. And in essence, what this does is allows us to develop cell lines that are optimized to work with our low-cost growth serum to create the leading platform for minimizing the cost of large-scale cell culture. And when I say minimizing cost, let me give you a sense of what I mean. So we essentially have a clear path to price parity in seafood over the next 5 years. At pilot scale, we can manufacture for less than $70 per kg, and we anticipate being able to demonstrate that by the end of 2022. This is in comparison to where most of our competitors are in the space at between $2,000 and $3,000 per kg today. At full-scale production, we'll be less than $30 per kg production cost and able to send product out the door for just over $30. And by within 5 years, with optimization at full scale, we anticipate being able to sell product for less than $13 per kg, which would put us below the price of most current seafood on the market, not just premium. We see a massive opportunity to redefine seafood, particularly focused around species that can't be easily farmed, that are currently under threat, considered endangered or overfished, and for which consumer demand is outstripping existing supply. With those priority considerations in mind, we see Japanese eel, yellowfin tuna, and red snapper as high priority species in the near term. And in our pipeline, we have other species like halibut, grouper, and mahi-mahi. With just our first 3 priority species, we see a $3.5 billion opportunity for cell-cultured seafood 2030. And in the broader cell-cultured seafood market, that opportunity is a little bit over 17 billion annual market size. So far, we've demonstrated we can make this growth serum and achieve a 98% cost reduction compared to current bovine serum products. We've taken our proprietary serum supplement and shown that we can actually grow cells from 5 different species of fish with it. And we filed a provisional patent on both the development of the serum as well as its applications. We're now working on cell lines with research collaborators from A-STAR, the National University of Singapore, and Nanyang Polytechnic, among other global partners, and have primary cell cultures established for red snapper, grouper, and eel, with other species in the works. We've also received almost a $500,000 Singapore dollar grant from the Singapore Food Story Program to develop these cell lines. On the commercial side, we have ongoing conversations with multinationals around developing plant hybrid products and incorporating our cell-cultured seafood into their end packaged goods. And were recently announced as a semifinalist for the X Prize Feed the Next Billion competition. Our team has both deep tech experience as well as experience commercializing this kind of deep tech. My background is in biochemistry, but my working background has mostly been in deep tech commercialization at a startup studio where I helped launch 4 university spinouts at the intersection of aquaculture and biotech, served as interim CEO, and helped raise over $5 million for these ventures. Dr. Vijay Kumar and Dr. Lim make up the primary technical team today. On our scientific side, they have between them 3 decades of experience working on marine cell line development, as well as optimization of stem cell lines and differentiation of muscle. And We also have Dr. Mark Richards, who's a collaborator at Nanyang Polytechnic, who's a stem cell biologist and has substantial experience in the early stages of establishing these cell cultures. Thanks very much for your time, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
I hope you all enjoyed the startup pitches. All the startups showcasing today are currently raising their next round of funding. If you'd like to meet any of the founders, you can by joining the networking session that will be beginning shortly. To join, simply click the networking tab on the left side of your screen. If you don't get a chance to connect with one of the teams during the networking session, we will also be facilitating email introductions to the startups through a post-event email that we will be sending out tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us here today. Thank you to all the startups who presented, and a special thank you to Enterprise Singapore. We couldn't have put this event together without you. I hope to see you all again at our next Startup Showcase event.